My dear people of Ambazonia, today is the 1st of October 2025. Unfortunately, I am out of my my base, and so we could not have this broadcast in our studio. But I want to take this opportunity in just a few minutes to extend hearty salutes to the people of the former UN Trust Territory of British Southern Cameroons, to the people of Ambazonia. And I also want to take this opportunity to talk to the friends and sympathizers of the Southern Cameroons, aka Ambazonia, and also to lovers of freedom, lovers of justice across the world. I like to point out that on this day, usually, the people of the Southern Cameroons come out in huge numbers, in very difficult conditions, on their territory heavily militarized by neighboring La République du Cameroon's colonial or invading forces, reinforced by Paris, to demonstrate to the rest of the world that the United Nations and the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Irelands have unfinished business when it comes to decolonization. My dear people, the people of the Southern Cameroons have been going through serious bondage. We have been witnessing a full-blown genocide in slow motion. The world has been watching almost helplessly, as if Mr. Paul Biya, because he is backed by Paris, with his oligarchy, have been authorized to kill, maim, and loot the people of the Southern Cameroons with impunity. The things that are going on, the scorched earth policy that is being executed in our land, the collective punishment like the one that happened in Malende recently in the southern regions or in the southern zone of the Southern Cameroons, stand as a stark example. The colonial forces of La République du Cameroon are enforcing serious kidnappings for ransom on our land. Not long ago, on this platform, I brought out the names of some members of the forces, the colonial forces of La République du Cameroon on our land, especially in Meme County. And the whistle revealing these people was actually blown by a whistleblower of La République du Cameroon, Nzuimanto. This tells you the magnitude of the ill that sometimes we have complained about, that sometimes we have raised. And people said this has just been spoken about because we were trying to hide a greater ill. The greater ill being that those who picked up arms, that they want to fight for freedom for the people of the Southern Cameroons, had turned against their own people. My dear people of Ambazonia, fellow freedom lovers around the world, I want to take this opportunity to implore especially our African brothers and sisters to pay a clear attention to the historical foundations of the situation in the Southern Cameroons. The narrative that you get on the global media, and sometimes copied naively by the African media, is that the people of the Southern Cameroons are seeking to carve out part of the Republic of Cameroon to create a new country. I want to point out that this narrative is deliberately put out there, pushed by the French and the British, because they actually are supportive of this global media that is sending out this biased message for one simple reason, that the French and the British sat together and traded the people of the Southern Cameroons and traded our future and destiny as if they were selling cattle in an animal market. Listen, the Republic of Cameroon that achieved independence on the 1st of January 1960 was also a UN trust territory, the same category like the Southern Cameroons. While La République du Cameroun was entrusted to the French with the mandate to prepare them for independence, the Southern Cameroons was entrusted to the British to prepare us too for independence. That is why just some little research will make you realize that the United Nations held a General Assembly session on the 21st of April 1961, at which there was an independence vote for the Southern Cameroons, and the majority nations of the UN General Assembly voted in favor of independence for the Southern Cameroons. But then, the British and the French had settled down and decided to do some trading. Because this is where the witchcraft set in. Because the British Crown sat down and said, if the people of the British Southern Cameroons or the UN Trust Territory of Southern Cameroons did not accept to achieve independence and join Nigeria under the British Protectorate, then they cannot be a standalone. Because if we were standalone, the people of the Southern Cameroons will be dependent on the British taxpayer for survival, because they thought that we do not have enough resources to self-sustain. And so they need to go into some kind of trading with France, and traded the people of the Southern Cameroons like cattle. And so we were forced to achieve independence and get into some kind of joining with French Cameroon, just to invite the French into our territory. The people of the Southern Cameroons had no relationship and no connection with France. But see what is happening to us today. Unlike the lovers of freedom, the lovers of justice, not only on the African continent, but across the world, to pay some little heed to the history of the people of the Southern Cameroons, you will understand that the narrative you are getting currently, that the people of the Southern Cameroons are separatists, are seeking to carve out part of the Republic of Cameroon to create a new country, that narrative is false and has no historical backing. You want evidence? Check out. In 2010, when the Republic of Cameroon was celebrating 50 years of its independence, the Secretary General of the United Nations dispatched a delegation to Yaoundé with a present for the President of La République du Cameroun, Mr. Paul Biya. That present was made up of two packages. One of the packages was a map of the Republic of Cameroon as at independence on the 1st of January 1960. And the second map was the map of the Southern Cameroons. The fact that the United Nations can reproduce a map of the Southern Cameroons and present it when the Republic of Cameroon is celebrating 50 years of its independence indicate to you that the Southern Cameroons has internationally recognized boundaries. Now, if you go by the AU principle of uti possidetis iuris, of the inviolability of international boundaries, you know that principle says it will be illegal to extend the national boundaries, because the boundaries were frozen at independence. So upon achieving independence of the 1st of January 1961, without the territory of the Southern Cameroons, La République du Cameroun could therefore not lay claims to the territory of the Southern Cameroons. And so therefore it would require a treaty of union for the Republic of Cameroon to lay claims on the territory of the former UN Trust territory of British Southern Cameroons. That is why the United Nations delegation in 2010 did not present 3 maps. Otherwise, it would have been 3 maps. Map number 1 would have been a map showing the boundaries of the Republic of Cameroon at independence. The second, showing the boundaries, internationally recognized boundaries, of the former UN Trust territory of the British Southern Cameroons. And the third would now have been showing a unified Cameroon's map. But that third one could not exist, because at the United Nations, no treaty uniting the 2 territories was ever lodged. That is why even at the United Nations itself, they can pretend to show a blind eye, but they know that international legality is not with them. So the world today sits quiet and promotes a narrative that gives to the Republic of Cameroon almost an unfettered right to slaughter the people of the Southern Cameroons at will, on grounds that the people are trying to carve out a new country from their territory, which absolutely is not the truth. When the people of South Africa were fighting for freedom from a stifling apartheid system, I was in primary school. I haven't got to secondary school. We sang, we demonstrated wherever for the freedom of the people of South Africa. When Namibia was fighting to get its independence from South Africa, I recall we sang songs like, "Oh South Africa, oh Namibia." We marched, we demonstrated in solidarity, in support with the people of Namibia. Today, our African brothers and sisters are standing by, watching, some even promoting the false narrative that the people of the Southern Cameroons are seeking to cut off part of the territory of a country that is today practicing colonialism by proxy on us. I'm taking this moment to call on freedom lovers across the world to do some research, to dig into the root causes of the ongoing genocide in the Southern Cameroons, and then understand that we need your support. On this 1st of October, which represents Independence Day for the people of the Southern Cameroons, this is my clarion call. Do not sit silent when the world said never again. Perhaps because you are not seeing too many people being killed on the same day. But if you take account of the number of people being killed every day, you will understand that there is a genocide in slow motion going on in the Southern Cameroons. People wake up every morning to find corpses littering the streets here and there, and no one can account for this. I'm not talking about the rampant rape by the colonial forces of the Republic of Cameroon on our women. I'm not talking about the looting. I'm not talking about the outright public kidnapping for ransom that the colonial forces of the Republic of Cameroon is visiting on our people. It is past time for the world to continue to look the other way, where we are crying and needing your help. I hope that as the world is rising and talking about the situation in the Middle East, some will determine to pay heed to the cries, to the harrowing calls of the people of the Southern Cameroons. Thank you for your kind attention.